All right, good morning, traders. Today is August 15th, 2023. My morning SPY pivot remains at 447.30. Above it, I'm a bull. Below, I'm a bear. SPY, QQQ, IWM have pulled back to their rising daily 50 simple period moving average. FNGU penetrating its daily rising simple period moving average. Be on the lookout for possible rubber band effect in the current price action this week. It could drag it back up over the trend line. We'll see what happens. Right now it has broken a head and shoulders pattern. We'll review that in just a minute or so. Diamonds continue their bull flag on the daily chart. US dollar and crude oil futures rise. They continue to rise. Natural gas has pulled back to a position near the daily uptrend line where we reloaded our long position in the group account. And we will review that as well. Let's take a look at the SPY this morning. Okay, so here we have on the daily chart. Now this candle over here represents the morning market activity. On the daily chart, we have pulled back to the 50 period moving average. Right there, you can see the 50 period moving average, 442.71. The low, 443.35. Didn't quite tag it yet, but that's close enough. If we continue to rise back up over the T line, it could drag this 50 right up into the bottom of this daily candle right there. So we'll take a look at that. The SPYs currently still in their 2-hour downtrend. Notice the 3 is underneath the T line. The T line, the price action, and the 3 EMA are all underneath our trend indicator, which is the 17 EMA. So you can see right here, here's our pullback to the 50 period moving average. Now we'll look at that 2-hour downtrend, and I will zoom into an hourly chart so you can see that clearly. So this is a little wonky here. It's a lot of moving parts, but here's our downtrend line. You can see we are challenging that in the early morning activity, and I think we've done that in the last 3 or 4 days, trading days that is. So we've challenged this downtrend line, and we wound up in the pre-market trading above it. I don't know, we got pretty close to the 50 SMA. That's kind of close enough. If they could start to trade up over 447.30 today, we'll see what happens. Again, my price pivot this morning, 447.30. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. We have a gap that was left open. They traded through part of it. There's still about probably maybe $1 or 50 cents. Let's see, 440. Just going to look right here, 443.48 down to 442. So about $1 left in that open gap that they could not fill yet on Friday. You can see the 2-hour downtrend to the downside, making lower lows and lower highs. Here's a lower low. There's a lower high. So we'll see what happens if they're going to be able to turn things around and start trading over 447.30. We do have another downtrend line that's formed right up there. Now, they may want to go up there and possibly make contact with that one. So we'll see if that's what they're in the mood for doing this week. We do have some FOMC data, which I will review in a few minutes here. But right now, this is the downtrend line, and they look like they want to break it in the early morning activity so far. So that's the SPY. All right, you can see that was the pullback on the daily back to the 50 period moving average. Here's your 50 rising up, and the green candle comes down and almost touches it there. Let's look at the QQQ. Actually, we'll just go to that one. So we hit the QQQ. Here's Friday's activity, doji candle, which represents in candle ID, that would be a pause. It doesn't mean we're possibly going higher or we're possibly going lower, but you want to take maybe whatever direction we head off into as a possible trend change here. So you got a doji candle, and the pre-morning market activity is trading up, not quite over the top of the doji candle. So we'll see what happens. So they're taking a pause, maybe a pullback to resistance. Look for 370.55 maybe sometime this week, and then a possible H pattern rollover, or they will grind their way up back through it, up to the T line and the 17 EMA. So there's our 2-hour downtrend in the QQQ. And I'll put it up on the hourly chart so you can see that clearly. And you can see right here, lower highs and lower lows. See if I got a better chart of it. No, I need to adjust that chart. Anyways, so there's our QQQ. I'll move this down here and move this up there. That's where it belongs. And you can see the consolidation coming through here. Now, let's go take a look at the IWM. It's the Russell 2000 on the hourly chart. You can see the 2-hour pullback there. Put it up on the 2-hour chart. Here's our 2-hour downtrend, making lower lows and lower highs. Still have not broken that yet. We'll see what they want to do this morning. There's the trend line till we get back up over this trend line. It's still in effect, this 2-hour downtrend that we're in. Now we'll take a look at it on the daily chart. Here's the daily chart. This area here represents the minor support. You can see, watch for the price action to see how it is, what kind of characteristics that we're looking for on this on the minor support. Are we going to bounce and make a new high, or are we going to bounce and go challenge the recent highs? So we'll see what happens if we're going to bounce on this minor support area right here in the IWM on the daily chart. As you can see, we got a downtrend. 3 is below the 8 EMA. Price action is below the 3. All 3 are below our 17-day trend indicator, which is 17 EMA daily trend indicator right there. So there's the IWM having a pullback there. Diamonds on the daily chart continue their bull flag. Notice here's the last move from the bottom to the top. They are remaining in quadrant 4 up here at the top. So look for them to continue this in the upper third and just kind of waffle back and forth here, probably till they hit the trend line, or eventually until maybe they're being contacted right now by the 21-day SMA. It's possible that could give them some lift back up towards the recent highs. We'll see what happens with the diamonds. Now, if that fails to break out, look for this to roll over back down to this trend line right here, which starts back in June, about June 5th. No, May 5th. May 25th. Correction, May 25th, right there. So nice bull flag in the diamonds. Now let's take a look at the most important one. This one moves a lot of the markets right here. All right, here's the FNGU. And I'm going to back out just a little bit, and I'm going to point out the head and shoulders pattern. Here was our uptrend. We broke this uptrend. This is the neckline. And not quite yet. Let me zoom in a little bit more. and drag this over. All right, so we have head up here. Here's your left shoulder. Here's your right shoulder. Here's the bottom of the neck right there. That's the left neck. That's the right neck. Draw a line across the neckline. Price starts to go underneath it. Then that's a break of the neckline, and you have a head and shoulders pattern to the downside. Now we'll see if they're going to get support on this trend line right there. So let me trash that. Take that off. Open this up. So look for the price action to possibly continue right on down to this 160, 150 area. We'll see. It's either that or this minor support from over here, or this support area. Actually, this is major support. It's either that or major support winds up reversing the price action to break this downtrend line. So we have a daily downtrend. We're on the daily chart. The price action, the candles are below the 3 EMA. That's the yellow line. And then it's below, the 3 EMA is below the 8 EMA, which is the white line. And you can see all three are underneath our 17-day EMA. That's our trend indicator right there, these red dots. So you can see everything is below the 21 period, simple period moving average right there. Price is moving back to support, and it possibly may even spike this support area right down to this trend line right here. We'll see what happens. But FNGU in a 2-hour downtrend and a daily downtrend. If you look at it, we've got a lower high. That's our high. There's a lower high. There's a low, and we're making lower lows. So we are in a daily downtrend for the FNGU. Now remember, this is the one that moves the SPY and the QQQ and all those that carry those heavyweights from the products inside the FNGU. Those overweight or heavily weighted products like Apple and Meta and Google, okay? That's all of these combined. And you can see we're getting that pullback, which in turn is dragging the markets down, like the SPY and the QQQ. I think the IWM is independent of weighted stocks. We'll see. I'm not positive, but I think it is independent of weighted stocks. So there's FNGU. Now let's go take a look at our VIX. All right, so here's our VIX, and we'll look at that on the daily chart. And you can see the VIX made a higher high there. Question is it going to make a higher low right here? We'll see what happens. Or is it going to come all the way back down to here in the $13 range? So we'll see what happens. Here's our VIX. Here's our previous high. There's our last high right there. This is the previous high, last high, making equal lows here, higher high there. Question is it going to make a higher low on the VIX? Now we'll take a look at what else moves the market, UUP, and you can see US dollar index is grinding higher and higher. Here's our downtrend line, and you can see we popped up through it, came back, tested it, and we are grinding our way up over the up to the highs up here at 28.75. So dollar is making a comeback here. We'll see what happens here in the markets. We do have a slight inverse head and shoulders on the dollar, and I'll fan that out for you. So here, right here, this would be our right shoulder. This would be our left shoulder, and this would be our head. So we have an inverse head and shoulders pattern, and you can see the price action is breaking through the neckline. So it'll be interesting to see whether we get any continuation this week on this dollar bounce back, or if it's just going to meander over to the right, or possibly break back down and crush this right shoulder right here. So that's what we're looking to see, what happens with this right shoulder and this neckline area right there. That's the US dollar. So trash that, move that out of the way. Now we'll take a look at our T2122. It's a 15-minute chart of the T2122. Lots of chop and swap on Friday and Thursday. Notice we did make higher lows. So the pressure will be on the bulls to make the higher high. We'll see if they're going to be able to get it done. It looks like in the pre-market it's possibly going to happen, and they could break or challenge that 2-hour downtrend that we're seeing in the SPY. Here's our 15-minute chart of T2123, and you can see we are green as of the last probably 3 candles there. So we'll see, and we're grinding up higher in the pre-market, so we should start out green sometime today. I don't see any economic data that could probably send this into the red, other than probably price action from earnings and such. So it looks like we're going to get a pop out of this area right here on the T2123. On the 3-bar chart, we have started to produce multiple red trendicator dots. You can see the price action has now faded underneath the red trendicator and is created space there. So we'll see if we're going to start a new downtrend in T2123. Now, let's go take a look at the economic numbers, and then I'm going to go look at the transports, the semiconductors, and the financials. So, here's our earnings calendar. Not much going on today. Suncor Energy, XP, really light day as far as earnings go. Tomorrow, Home Depot reports. That's going to be a big one. BHP Group and Alcon. Those will be big ones right there. This top one, Home Depot and BHP. That's for tomorrow. Just a heads up that they're going to be reporting tomorrow. And Wednesday, we have Cisco, TJ Maxx as the and Target as far as some of the big ones on the earnings calendar for Wednesday. Now we'll look at the dollar. You can see here's the dollar moving even higher this morning. We were right around here, 102.86, and you can see we're already spiking up over 103. So look like the dollar's going to go challenge this falling. Look like that's the 50-day moving average right there. So there's the dollar getting bullish this morning and this last week and the beginning of this week. And if we go look at our economic calendar, nothing really happening today. Tomorrow we got retail sales numbers coming out at 8:30 in the morning. And on Wednesday, the big thing that happens on Wednesday, we're going to have industrial production, housing starts, and the big one is FOMC minutes at 2 p.m. on Wednesday. So we'll see what happens with the price action this week leading up to the FOMC minutes. Now, if you remember, we had CPI that came out last week, and we saw the markets continue their trend back to the trend line. So that's where we got our 2-hour downtrend was had some continuation with the CPI data. So we'll see what the FOMC is planning for the immediate near future. Jobless claims on Thursday at 8:30, and the Philly Fed Manufacturing Index at 8:30 as well on Thursday. Friday looks like nothing's really happening on Friday. So let's go back to the charts and let's take a look at the transports. Transports still in this daily downtrend here. Haven't really produced a lower low or a lower high. It looks more like a pullback on the 2-hour chart. As you can see, price action is under the 3. The 3 is underneath the 8. All 3 underneath our trend indicator and the 21-day simple period moving average. So you can see transports pulling back. Hopefully they can find some common ground or some support right around this 252.88 area. That would be our next level of support on the transports. XLF. XLF doesn't have any support other than this level right here at 34.72. The next level of support that comes down is going to be right here at 33.96. Here's our trend line. It looks like a daily downtrend, pull back all the way back to the trend line. So we're getting a PBO in the XLF at the current time. So you can see price underneath the T line, also underneath the 8 EMA, and the T line still remains over our trend indicator, but our price action and the 3 EMA remain underneath our trend indicator. So here's our hourly pullback to support. This will be yesterday represents our 3rd test of this support area. So we'll see if that's going to hold up or not this week. That's the XLF. And you can see right here, this is our downtrend. Now let's take a look at the SMH. All right, SMH on the daily chart, we have an M pattern that played out, and then a small battleground area. And we'll take a look at this is our small battleground area right through here. And the M pattern, which was up, back, up, and then you can see here's the winners. They're moving to the downside. So look like they have a date with probably this midpoint, and you can see the rising uptrend line probably somewhere where these two connect together. Probably right around 140 would be a possible target for the SMH. So you can see we have a 2-hour pullback here. I don't see a higher low on the daily chart. Let me erase that. Unless you want to count this as the lower high right there. Not quite. Doesn't really pass in my book. This is just more of a 2-hour pullback. And we have major support right here, here, and here. So we'll see if any of this major support is going to hold up the SMH. Look for a possible reversal somewhere I think right around this area, right about there. We could see a reversal back to the T line or back to the trend indicator. We'll see what happens. Right now we have the makings of almost an M pattern head and shoulders. It looks like right now they're creating the right side of a head and shoulders neck right there on the SMH. Good morning, Mike. So I'm going to turn off the recorder and I will take questions.